Welcome to Making a Murderer, Rubberducky YouTube channel. Welcome back to a new week of our daily MaM reading of the CASO Investigative Reports. We're doing pages 301 through 310 today, part 31. Page 301. Miller went on to indicate she has never seen any violent tendencies from Steven, but she has heard that Steven was in front of the detective's wife in the detective's yard without any clothes. Miller indicated she has only been in jail this time since Saturday, 11/26/05. Miller indicated she and Jody Stachowski had some communication while they were both out of jail, but this would consist of an occasional conversation by phone. She states they are not very close and never went out together. Investigation continues. Investigator John Dietering, Calumet County Sheriff's Department. Page 302. Type of activity, interview of Brenda E. Newby. Date of activity 11/29/05. Reporting officer, Investigator John Dietering. Documents generated, none. On Tuesday, 11/29/05, at 10:55 hours, DCI Special Agent Deb Strauss and I. Dietering did interview the following individual concerning this matter. Brenda E. Newby. Newby indicates she had just been incarcerated in the Manitowoc County Jail on 11/25/05. She states she is in jail for a child support commitment until May of 2006. She states Jody Stachowski swears up and down that Steven Avery is innocent. She states Stachowski has told her Avery has an aversion to blood, and further stated Stachowski has told Newby that Steven Avery does not want to have sex with Stachowski when Stachowski has her period. According to Newby, Stachowski has made the statement, if anyone had done this, it would have been Earl. Newby further indicated Stachowski has mentioned that he, Earl, is sick like that. According to Newby, Stachowski made the statement, I saw him that week. I talked with him that week. I know he didn't do it. Newby indicated Stachowski made the statement regarding Earl Avery on 3 separate occasions, usually after she sees the news on television or reads the newspaper. Newby indicated she does not know Stachowski and is not familiar really with her last name, but she does look familiar to her. It should be noted Newby always referred to Stachowski as Jody. Newby indicates Stachowski is real quiet and just sits on her bunk and listens to music. Newby indicated Stachowski has never made any mention of what Steven is like when he is angry to her knowledge. Page 303. Our interview with Brenda Newby ended at 11:06 hours. Investigation continues. Investigator John Dietering, Calumet County Sheriff's Department. Page 304. Type of activity, interview of Tony M. Scortinio. Date of activity 11/29/05. Reporting officer, Investigator John Dietering. Documents generated, none. On Tuesday, 11/29/05 at 11:33 hours, DCI Special Agent Deb Strauss and I. Dietering did interview the following individual at the Manitowoc County Jail, Tony M. Scortinio. Scortinio states she came into jail on the date Steven Avery was arrested, and she believes Jody Stachowski does not talk too much about Steven Avery's incarceration because it hurts. Scortinio states she never actually met Steven Avery. She states Scortinio's mother did take the vehicle Scortinio's mother owned to the Avery's auto salvage facility at one time. Scortinio states she cannot give any observations as to how Stachowski is reacting due to the fact she did not see Stachowski before Steven was arrested. Scortinio indicates Stachowski is not close to anyone in the jail, and further indicated, Stachowski may be talking, but not to me. Our interview with Scortinio ended at 11:41 hours. Investigation continues. Investigator John Dietering, Calumet County Sheriff's Department. Page 305. Type of activity interview of Michelle L. Smits. Date of activity 11/29/05. Reporting officer, Investigator John Dietering. Documents generated, none. On Tuesday 11/29/05 at 11:45 hours, DCI Special Agent Deb Strauss and I Dietering did interview the following individual concerning this matter: Michelle L. Smits. Michelle Smits stated she has been incarcerated at the Manitowoc County Jail since 11/22/05. She stated she was incarcerated in March 2005 with Jody Stachowski and does not get along well with her. She stated in March 2005 she and Jody Stachowski were housed together during a 90-day period. Smith stated Joy Ayota is close to Stachowski. Smith indicated a friend of hers named Sunshine Stelzelski is currently housed at Sheboygan County Jail, and Smiths indicated Sunshine knows Steven Avery, and Avery used to babysit Sunshine. Smiths indicates Stachowski does not say anything to her, just watches the news on TV. Smiths indicated Stachowski does not have any reaction when she sees Avery on TV. Smiths indicated an inmate named Jessica Miller stated Steven was going to throw a blow dryer into the bathtub with Jody in it. Smiths indicated that back in March 2005, Stachowski cried a lot and argued a lot with Steven. Smiths indicated there was no mention by Stachowski of Steven being physical with her. Investigation continues. Page 306. Investigator John Dietering, Calumet County Sheriff's Department. Page 307. Type of activity interview of Jody Stachowski. Date of activity 11/29/05. Reporting officer Investigator John Dietering. Documents generated, none. On Thursday 11/29/05 at 12:20 hours, DCI Special Agent Deb Strauss and I Dietering did interview Jody Stachowski, previously mentioned in this report. For details concerning this interview, please see the report of Special Agent Strauss. Investigation continues. Investigator John Dietering, Calumet County Sheriff's Department. Page 308. Type of activity interview with Julie A. Tisler. Date of activity 11/30/05. Reporting officer Investigator John Dietering. Documents generated. Copy of eyewear order from Dr. Daniels Eye Care. On Wednesday 11/30/05 at 10:58 hours, Investigator Steyer and I Dietering did interview the following individual at Dr. Daniels Eye Care, located at 700E Magnolia, Manitowoc, Wisconsin 54220. Julie A. Tisler. Information had been developed that Earl Avery had had an appointment of some sort at Dr. Daniels Eye Care. And we did speak with Julie, who is an employee of Dr. Daniels Eye Care. She stated Earl picked up a second pair of glasses on Monday 10/31/05 between 1700 hours and 1800 hours. She stated this was a second pair of glasses and he had already picked up his first pair. She stated the fitting for Earl took approximately 5 minutes. She stated she is certain it was 10/31/05 as all the other employees were taking their kids trick-or-treating in Manitowoc, and Julie volunteered to stay until closing, which was set 1900 hours. Julie stated she had no real conversation with Earl. She did, however, notice that Earl was really dirty. He also remarked about his appearance. Julie indicated a co-worker, Stacy Oswald, had left approximately 10 minutes after Earl had his fitting and had left. Julie stated the Green Bay office of Dr. Daniels Eye Care has the time cards for 10/31/05. It should be noted, I subsequently requested that Investigator Baldwin, who was in the Green Bay area on 10/30/05, go to Dr. Daniels Eye Care and retrieve copies of the time cards, which she did. The time cards showed that Stacy Oswald checked out of work on 10/31/05 at 17:42 hours. Julie indicated there is no surveillance at the eye care facility in the mall, and she is uncertain of whether there would be any sort of surveillance camera in the mall. It should be noted, I subsequently confirmed there was no surveillance equipment available at the mall. Page 309. I asked Julie if Two Rivers had trick-or-treating on 10/31/05, and she indicated she was not sure. Julie indicated Stacy had dealt with Earl for his first appointment, approximately 10/19/05, and she was unsure as to how Earl appeared at that time. The interview with Julie Tisler terminated at 11:14 hours. The items referred to can be found in the exhibits section. Investigation continues. Investigator John Dietering, Calumet County Sheriff's Department. Page 310. Type of activity, contact with Earl Avery. Date of activity, 11/30/05. Reporting officer, Investigator John Dietering. Documents generated, none. On Wednesday, 11/30/05, at 13:39 hours, Investigator Steyer and I. Dietering did make contact with Earl Avery, previously mentioned in this report at Avery's Auto Salvage, Avery Road, Mishcot, Wisconsin. We asked Earl how sure he was that he had been rabbit hunting on Monday, 10/31/05. He stated he was pretty sure. He stated after hunting, he went home and did not leave. We asked Earl about any recollections he had about picking up a second set of glasses in Two Rivers. He stated he was unsure. When we then refreshed his memory as to what Dr. Daniels Eye Care had stated, and he stated he thought he might have some information regarding this in his vehicle. Earl did check his vehicle and was unable to locate anything. Earl stated he was positive he picked up a second set of glasses himself. We then went back to what day he and Robert Fabian were rabbit hunting. He stated, Bobby said Monday, but I thought it was Wednesday. Earl stated, as he recalled the day of rabbit hunting, Robert arrived at approximately 15:30 hours, or maybe a little before or after. Earl stated he believed Robert left after dark, and he stated it grew dark between 5 p.m. and 5:15 p.m. Earl stated he recalled both he and Robert left at the same time. Earl was asked when he first saw Robert. He stated the first time he saw Robert on the property on 10/31/05, Robert was seated in his truck. I asked Earl how long it would take to get to the eye care place in the mall. He stated he thought it would be between 20 and 25 minutes. Earl stated he believed Candy may have ridden along with him when he went to pick his glasses up. He thought perhaps his wife Candy and his daughters went along and possibly went to Yonkers. It should be noted that in a follow-up conversation with Earl, he advised Investigator Steyer that his wife and children went trick-or-treating that night and were not with him during the trip to Dr. Daniels Eye Care. Well, we're going to go ahead and start our review, and we're going to start right off the top here with page 301 for this day's review. So we're talking about those that were incarcerated that may have contact with Jody. And this person's name is Miller. And it's interesting because she went on to say she has never seen any violent tendencies from Steven, but she has heard that Steven was in front of the detective's wife's house in the yard without clothes. And we know that that comes from a rumor that has been spread by one individual. So as we go forward, we'll find out a little bit more. On page 302, we're talking to a newbie. So Newbie is another person incarcerated, and she states that Jody swears up and down that Steven's innocent, and that she has said that Steven has. Jody had told her that Steven has an aversion to blood, and so strongly that he will not want to have sex with her if she is having her period. According to Newbie, if anyone had done this, Jody had said it would have been Earl, and that Jody had stated that Earl was sick like that. And she said that Jody said this on 3 separate occasions about Earl, and usually Jody had been watching TV or was reading the newspaper when it was said. She is a little confusing at the end because she's trying to identify Jody, and she says she does look familiar to her. She doesn't recognize the last name. So I find it interesting that she doesn't quite remember her as much as I would think she would with that information. Page 305, we're talking to another inmate that is Michelle Smith's, and she states that her friend Sunshine used to be babysat by Steven. So Steven Avery used to babysit Sunshine. And we don't have anything negative here, really, other than Smith's indicated an inmate named Jessica Miller, here you go, the rumor, said that Steven was going to throw a blow dryer in the bathtub. And then Smith's indicated that there was no mention by Jody of Steven being physical with her. So there you go. Page 307. I would love to be able to read this report to you of Jody's, but unfortunately we would have to have the Special Agent Deb Strauss's report because Dietering skips it. Yep, just skip that step. So on page 308, we're talking to Julie Tisler, and she is talking about Earl picking up a second pair of glasses on Monday, 10/31/05. Now pay attention. This puts the timeline together for where Robert Fabian would have been at the property and left. So according to everything we're going to see in a minute, Robert Fabian would have been arriving around 3:30 p.m. on the 31st, and according to Earl, he left sometime after dark, which was between 5 and 5:15. But when we go through this, we want to note that Stacy Oswald left about 10 minutes after Earl had his fitting. So that would mean if she punched out at 5:42 that Earl was done with his appointment by 32, so 5:32, about 5:30. Now, we also hear from Earl on the next page, a couple pages down on 310. He talks about them hunting, him and Robert, and he thought it was Wednesday, but Robert says it was Monday. He talks about 5 o'clock or 5:15, him leaving, which means basically it had to be at 5 o'clock because it's going to take 20 to 25 minutes for Earl to get to the eye care place in the mall. So we'll go with 25. And he had to be there and be done by 5:30. So the appointment took about 5 minutes. We're really tight here. He had to have left right at 5. So that would put Robert, if we're going by the investigators' reports, that Robert Fabian would have got on property at 3:30 and been leaving around 5 p.m. So interesting read that Earl had to go pick up a second pair of glasses, and then we find glasses in Bobby Dassey's driveway that the investigators pick up and put in evidence, and yet he's picking up a second pair of glasses. And I get it. When you order your glasses, most of the time they do have a second pair for you as a backup pair, and it doesn't seem like this was any type of an emergency. It doesn't look like he missed his appointment at all, which is a rumor that I had heard. According to this, we don't have that confirmation or validation that he was late. It just states that this woman volunteered to stay until closing for the other employees, which was around 7 p.m. So that cleared that up a little bit. I do not like the fact that we don't get to read the special agent reports, which would be really interesting. I do like the fact, let's that Stephen babysat. It shows people trusted him very well. And we're talking about a female he babysat. So obviously we would have heard some terrible rumors if that was the case, that there was some issues with him taking care of a child. And a lot of rumors going around about this bathtub stuff that I just don't buy it. I think it's interesting that Stephen does have, Jody reports that he has an aversion to blood. And we know that Brendan actually has a diagnosis of an aversion to blood where he passes out. So how did they accomplish this gruesome murder, the way Kratz put it out there? All right, you guys, that's the end of this day's read. And I thank you for joining us for another new week. Thank you so much for joining us today on our daily MaM reading. That concluded part 31. And as always, the support is wonderful that you guys offer, and keeping the gentlemen in the light and keeping them safe. That was a lot of information about Earl. He keeps being brought up in the CASO report a lot. And I do have some questions there. It's kind of suspicious, more than kind of suspicious. He's thrown his brother under the bus. So a lot of information in the CASO report about Earl. And it's time, you guys. If you didn't do the crime, you shouldn't do the time. Thank you and have a wonderful day.